For our next two sessions, we're really at the intersection of Hollywood, media, and technology. So this next one is really the conjunction of Northern and Southern California. Mark Hurd doesn't need a whole lot of introduction, the CEO of Hewlett-Packard, and neither does Jeffrey Katzenberg, who's CEO, co-founder, and director of DreamWorks Animation SKG. Fortune's Adam Lashinsky, of course, one of the main guys here, is going to be back to interview them, and we know he's a good interviewer. So please welcome Mark Hurd, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and Adam Lashinsky.
Thank you, David. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, Mark and Jeffrey.
Thank you.
I wrote a blog post last week where I referred to you two as the odd couple of this conference.
Thank you.
And we won't get into who's which character from the movie or TV show. But Jeffrey, let's start with you.
We're both too anal. Let's get that out of the way.
I don't know. I'm not going there. The reason we have you two together is that DreamWorks Animation is a big customer of Hewlett-Packard's. Hewlett-Packard drives the technology that DreamWorks Animation uses to make its films. So, my sort of high-level, simplistic question is, what does a filmmaker know about technology? Purposely naive question. Go ahead and take that one away.
Well, I mean, I think. We talked a little bit about this. There's sort of a 20th century notion of the, and I think it was actually on your thing, the convergence of Silicon Valley and Hollywood. And the truth is that is a old school notion. Today, the level of integration between technology and Hollywood, be it in the creation, production, distribution, of creative content, digital creative content now is ubiquitous. We're married, for better or for worse. We've moved beyond convergence. We're in a marriage.
You're not just dating.
No,
it's not an odd
not
couple. It's a marriage.
No, and again, in the case of our company, which technology is virtually of the essence to what we do. We can't function. If you make the analogy that our enterprise is a car, then HP is our engine. And every aspect, every facet of our process of creating and producing digital images, which are getting more and more complex, is dependent upon not just the hardware that we get from HP, which is state of the art, but is the IT function. I look at what Google is to search, HP has become to IT.
But to carry on the metaphor, there's other engine makers. Why this engine?
I think at the heart of HP is a company that was founded on and continues to be driven by innovation. There's a very huge commitment and resource, many billions of dollars every year that is invested in innovation. Under Mark's leadership the last couple of years, it's been very, very focused on things that have become essential to us. So whether it's the storage of data, the movement of data, the management of it, whether it's from remote sites, from desktop into servers, these are all things that they have huge expertise in.
So Mark, I want to ask you to elaborate on a line that your two companies use. You refer to DreamWorks as a living lab for innovation and creativity. What does that mean?
It means what it says. I mean, we've done just about everything that we do. We, in many cases, try it with Jeffrey and his team. We built Shrek 2. DreamWorks built Shrek 2 in the cloud.
I have to tell you that we get hours of repeated enjoyment in my house, that my daughter, who's 2.5, will watch Shrek 2 as many times as we'll put it on in front of her.
Are you going to continue to digress to those kind of?
No, I won't. That'll be the last time.
I don't know if we're going to keep going that way. So but we did it in the cloud, Adam, and we had shared data centers, shared infrastructure, shared storage, shared processing power. If you want to bring it down to raw technology terms, when we started building pictures with Jeffrey's team, the average picture was about 5 terabytes of data. You know, a terabyte is a filing cabinet from DC to LA. Just think of cabinets just lined up end to end. 5 terabytes. Today, the average picture, I think, is about 70.
Yeah.
So that tells you about
Shrek 4 is 70 terabytes. Shrek 1 was 1.
So these things are massive technology undertakings, and he's taught me a lot about how technology is integral to the process. So when you look at the raw power and the number of pictures that are made for what you see on that screen, it'll blow your mind, the depth of technical scale that has to be there to make.
And what happens for us, you know, which is why the alliance just gets stronger and stronger, is that the problems that we have at the very, very high end, at the top of the waterfall, in terms of technical challenges, when we solve them, the application of those down into much broader use and eventually into the consumer market is pretty profound. So to give you an example, which is if you think about how color is of the very essence of what we do. With CT monitors going away, we have no ability to calibrate on a zillion different monitors, whether it's a handheld device or a television set or a movie theater through digital projection, to actually get true color in terms of what the artist designed, to be consistent across that platform, actually technically was a wall that we hit and other creators hit. And we went to HP, and through the HP labs in Colorado, who have, you know, vast knowledge and experience in color, mostly through the printing division, they came up and helped solve this with what in effect is what Dolby is to sound. They've actually created for color, and they created a monitor called DreamColor, which allows us across all production to have consistency in color.
And is this applicable to other industries besides animators?
And by the way, DreamColor was no accident that's how we came to the name.
But you're selling it elsewhere?
We are. You know, it's really across not just our printer line. Printers are ever becoming more important as now people are printing, you know, 80% of what you're now printing on a home printer is coming from the web. And what's coming off the web now is loaded with color. And if we want to keep people printing, what they print has to look good. Maps, et cetera, et cetera. So color becomes ever more important. So in printing, it's important. It's the same thing when you look at visualization. All of this data that's coming off the web has to be not just shared, but it's got to be visualized. And you know, we love it when it's printed. And it's important when that ecosystem comes together that it looks pretty, and particularly the younger demographic. People are printing as much as ever. The younger demographic prints with more color. They like a more robust feel for the picture they look at. So I think, again, one of the other benefits we get is when you look at the demographic that DreamWorks serves.
I'm not going to comment on the...
You could digress
young
again.
People who watch the film.
Yet again. But so I'll go back. You know, again, that demographic, we learn a lot about how that look and feel plays into our product.
Go back, you flicked at the concept of the cloud. It's an esoteric concept that has been discussed a fair amount at this conference, but we have an opportunity for you to explain what that means in an application.
So we only have a few minutes left.
We have all kinds of time.
Yeah. The cloud is, I don't like the term cloud. It's a term that's talked about in technical IT terms. If you talk to most CEOs that are not in the IT industry, most of them want to fly in clear skies. They don't want to be in clouds. So it's an IT sort of thing. And then inside the cloud, there are so many different uses of that term. In the case of this term, here's an organization that says, I've got a lot of scale here. I don't want to have to put all the scale for my peak times in-house. I want to leverage that into I'll call it a remote location. We're using the generic term cloud. But here's a case where we have a lot of infrastructure at HP. We're going to share processing power, share storage, share administration capabilities, share data center capabilities, back that up, provision them more power and capability as they need it. That was the definition I was using for the cloud in the case of the DreamWorks example.
And it's also, there's a collaboration element, isn't there? Can you talk about how your people use the cloud to collaborate?
Well, you know, we now have 3 studios in Southern California here, not too far from here, in Northern California in Redwood City, and now in Bangalore. And the ability for us to be able to work virtually and in collaboration with these remote sites in real time has become invaluable to us. And that's what this IT infrastructure allows us to do, is to actually be seamless. So whether it's Halo from a visual communication collaboration.
Halo is HP's high-end video conferencing system.
No.
Yes, and which, you know, is just a superb product, and for the level of collaboration and for the quality of images that we are sharing cross sites, you know, it's just become, you know, frankly, of the essence to us.
One of the coolest things I think we'll release in the next 60 days from a technology perspective is a collaborative work capability on PCs. And what you've seen with Halo at the high end, we developed really together. It was the look and feel that came from that DreamWorks collaboration in conjunction with our technology. We put a private network behind it and built a I do reviews with people in Singapore, spend sometimes too long in that room, and you're so close, it would seem, Adam, like you and I are together. And
but that's not on a PC, right?
It's not, but now, the point I'd bring to you is we've now, as we do with most technologies, try to solve the high-end problem and then scale it down. And so now what we'll be able to do is bring as a capability to the average PC, a conferencing capability that I would just encourage you to try it. I think you're going to find it's a difference maker. And we wouldn't have got there without the labs and the DreamWorks collaboration.
How will the pricing compare between Halo on the one hand and with this PC product on the other hand?
PC will be lower.
Yeah, I know that, but
well, you asked the question. I was trying to give you a direct answer.
Well, is there are there economics? I mean, Skype is free to me to use on my PC right now.
This will be very, very competitively priced, Adam.
So, competitive to Skype or competitive to Halo?
Yes.
It will be very, very competitive. Yes.
Well, then just
I'm going to let the product folks release price. I think it's going to be very, very inexpensive for the value delivered.
But designed for companies, I'm assuming.
No, it's designed for people. This is, let me tell you just a little bit about it, not take up too much time. This will not just the ability for you and I to see each other. This would be for somebody like me who, you know, likes to write. I can actually write on the screen, and you will see what I wrote in a way that's visually favorable to you. So if I write 1 + 1 = 2, you'll see it the way it should look to you, the way I wrote it, and the way it looks to me. So you've actually now got a flip chart conference capability along with the person-to-person video collaborative capability.
And this is something that your valued partner Microsoft isn't already doing with software that's on the market?
This is a great capability.
Okay. I want to stick on, Jeffrey, you love to talk about a particular technology, namely 3D. Would you give us an update on the world of 3D, and feel free to throw in what role HP's played in the development of it?
You know, just the world of 3D, I think that it is really taken off in a great way. Monsters vs. Alien was really the first kind of test of this new platform, if you will. Domestically, the movie grossed close to $200 million. 50% of our admissions were in 3D at a premium price paid for it, with a huge customer satisfaction. 86% thought it was as good or better than they expected. Followed on by Disney with Up, Ice Age Now. Yesterday, a whole bunch of product, including Avatar from Jim Cameron, previewed down at Comic-Con. There's a wave of extraordinary product coming that is taking what used to be kind of a goofy gimmick and turned it into a great platform for storytelling and for a form of immersion in storytelling that I think changes the movie theater experience. What we're now seeing very, very quickly is this is going to move into the home. You know, we've been approached and talked with, you know, all the TV monitor manufacturers in it. They are all going to start incorporating 3D capability. There's a fantastic application for it.
How does the quality compare?
For sports and for gaming, which are going to drive it very quickly into the home. It's very, when you see the quality of what can be done now, which I think is your question.
At home is my question.
At home,
yeah.
It's actually so far beyond what I imagined it was going to be only 6 or 9 months ago. It's superb.
But this is in terms of it being the kind of experience you expect it to be, this is still in the near future rather than the here and now?
This is here and now.
A comparable experience at home to what you'd see in the theater?
There'll be monitors in the home in the first quarter of next year.
So this is something we'll be, first quarter next year, so not just something we'll be seeing at CES in January, but something that'll be in stores.
There's millions of monitors are being shipped by LG, Samsung, Panasonic. They all have very, very, very high quality products that they're going to bring. And this is going to move to, you know, every device we have, you're going to start to see 3D imaging. It's more robust and it's more immersive and it's more compelling. Just again, in the same way, if you think of we were in a black and white world, we moved to a color world, we're sitting here, we all see each other in 3 dimension in this. So I honestly think that we're, you know, at the beginning of what truly is going to be a revolution to images and how we share images, how we view images, and the experiences around them are all going to create dramatic shifts in how we consume products. It is going to change the enterprises. Hollywood will be dramatically changed from this.
Mark, you were nodding on the subject of the monitors in the home. You want to talk about that?
Well, I think, listen, we need the content. I don't think this is an issue of the base technology, Adam. I think, you know, I can tell you from what Jeffrey described, I'm on the board of a media company, News Corp, yeah, and we need content. And I think the application and the content drives another wave of utilization of technology. So we're anxious to partner on the content. Frankly, Jeffrey's been talking about this for longer than really anybody I know in the industry. I think we had a talk about this 2.5 years ago of Jeffrey really demonstrating to our technologists what the application of 3D technology meant, not just to a film, but to all kinds of different types of content. And so for us, it's about getting the software development behind it because it's going to drive lots of infrastructure.
But walk me through the case. Am I going to have a pair of glasses that I'm going to keep at home, or am I going to have several pair at home?
There will be an interim step in which you will, but we will move to something called auto stereo, which is actually stereo without glasses. It's a factor of computing, and it's something that we've actually been talking with Intel about. If you look out on the horizons of some of the things that the computing power that they will be able to deliver in a chip to a TV monitor will actually get us to auto stereo in a TV monitor, I think in a handful of years. It's pretty extraordinary.
I want to shift gears, take advantage of both of you being here to ask you a little bit about your respective companies. Starting with you, Jeffrey, you recently announced, or DreamWorks Animation recently announced, that you're upping the number of movies you're going to be making from about 2 movies every 2 years to about 5 movies every 2 years. Is that right?
Actually, from 4 every 2 years to 5 every 2 years. Okay. So it's about 25% increase.
I mean, this suggests that you're confident about the economy, the public's ability to pay for.
Well, again, you know, we've found ourselves in the bullseye of what is working in the world of content right now. Our family entertainment, first of all, the movie theater experience in a challenged economy is on fire. And simple reasoning for it, which is if you think about leaving the home to do for discretionary, for entertainment in it,
Yeah.
actually going to a movie theater is the least expensive and the best value. There is no out-of-home experience that is better. And today, given that we all know so much about these movies before you get into a movie theater, just from social networking and communication, you know whether you're going to see something that's good or bad after Friday night. So the ability to deliver a high-quality, dependable product to particularly in our case, to families, movies are playing extremely well. We've not been impacted the same way in the DVD market, and you answered the reason why not. Our movies are not a movie purchase, it's a toy purchase. As a parent, when you look at a toy, you think about longevity of play, durability of it, how many hours are they going to get on it, portability of it. Well, a DVD, which your kids will watch 50 or 100 times, make you nuts, but makes us happy. So our DVD sales actually year over year have held up extremely well in a market that's seen pretty perilous decline.
You mentioned Up earlier. Have you seen it?
Several times.
And what did you think of it?
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Would I be correct in assuming that because Disney owns Pixar and Steve Jobs is sold Pixar to Disney, that Pixar develops with a competing computer company's equipment?
No.
Would you like to comment on that?
No.
So they don't use HP or Apple? Is that what you're saying?
No. I mean, I think
they're a big customer of HP.
Disney is
Pixar is?
Yeah.
Well, and Disney as a whole is a big customer of HP. And there's nothing exclusive about the relationship between the two of us. It's just a deep, very valuable partnership.
But the idea is to hook them and sell them more, right?
You say hook them.
Yeah,
I know you did, and you'd love to have me reinforce that. I think at the end, listen, we have to deliver value every day.
Mark,
you guys are really funny when you talk.
This has
we've done this once.
This has gone on for a long time.
You guys are doing great, I have to say.
Come back.
Long time.
I need you here to validate that it's okay for me
I know
to talk
what happens
about Shrek
with
2.
what I say and how it shows up written, so I'm careful. He said this. That's not what I said.
That would be not so much.
You've had ample opportunity to comment on that.
Thank you.
You've been, Mark, eloquent that
Thank you, Adam.
The odd coupling up here is not Mark and I. It's actually you two.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I will tell you that
Katzenberg and Lashinsky made
I don't know
more
if
in
Andy's
common.
here, but Andy has talked about the fact that I could actually write an article on Adam.
For the magazine.
But he didn't promise to publish it.
He did not. He did not. But
Okay.
I'd give it a stab.
All right. Mark, how's the economy doing? What's your outlook on the economy right now?
Well, we're in the middle of closing our quarter, so you've obviously seen a slew of earnings reports, obviously, in the last 10 days. We think we get a pretty good view of it. We stare at 6 months worth of business, which allows us to look at several $100 billion worth of business in the IT industry at one time. At the end of Q2, just to give you a calibration, Q2 for us would have been February, March, and April. So our Q3 is May, June, and July. At the end of Q2, we said we saw it a little better than Q1. We saw improvements in China. The stimulus package in China, from what we have seen, has worked well, both with the consumer and with commercial customers. We saw a slight improvement in U.S. consumer, but we were unwilling to say that that was really a turn. And when I say improvements, these are sequential improvements as opposed to year-over-year improvements. So we'll obviously close our quarter here in the next few days, a week. We'll comment on it when we release our earnings. And I'm probably not in a position to talk too much more about it specific to HP, but I would say that, as we said on our call at the end of Q2, everything we see says 10, being 2010, we expect to be a better year than 2009. Now, one of the only good things about 2009 is it becomes next year's comparisons. So
seriously though, right? But how do we? Let me throw a couple things at you that are out there that aren't HP related, but that you're watching keenly. How do we reconcile IBM's relatively strong quarter with the stinker that Microsoft put up yesterday?
well,
They're in the same business, right?
I don't know that I'm going to reinforce your terms, but I would say that when I looked at the first one's results, it looked to me like they did not make the revenue that was forecasted and appeared to do very well on earnings. So that would be less a macroeconomic indicator and probably a different indicator of performance. So I think you have to look hard at these numbers when
Like
you
a journalist would.
Yeah. And
Some journalists.
Yeah. So again, I don't think what's going to go on here in these earnings seasons, Adam, has, as it relates to the market, stock market particularly, has as much to do with what happened in the quarter as much as it has to do with what are you seeing going forward.
Yeah.
You know, is visibility getting better? The opportunity you have, you know, in the infrastructure business, and the two companies you named are actually very different companies now, as we are different from both of the two. You have, you know, we're a company that stretches from consumer to the enterprise. We stretch in 179 countries. 70% of our business is outside the U.S. Across some now roughly 115 to 120 billion dollars worth of revenue. So for us, I think it's going to be about what happens with that installed base. There is no question that people have put off purchases. That ages existing infrastructure, which at some point causes a replacement cycle. And you've had a lot of people pushing off investments into growth. And sooner or later, that will rebound. And so we want to put ourselves, I think these recessions, to be very blunt, are opportunities for really good companies to get better.
Well, I'll make the observation for the audience that given Microsoft is an important partner. Microsoft's stock was down about 10% today, and HP's is up between 1 or 2% last time I checked, as is DreamWorks Animations, by the way.
They are, again, Adam, I think these are all indicators.
Thank you for checking on our stock for me today.
Yes.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Guy. Different companies.
Sure. I'm going to read a Spot Me question. We have this neat technology that lets people type in questions directly onto our screen. Will Blu-ray become a 3D platform? And if it comes to the home, will that eventually undercut using 3D to make the theater a premium experience?
Great. So the answer is Blu-ray is a fantastic platform. Is a fantastic platform for 3D. And in fact, I believe 3D is going to be a driver, a value driver for Blu-ray. The incremental, the delta between standard video, DVD, and Blu-ray for 3D is significant, much greater than the delta between standard DVD and Blu-ray for a typical movie. So I think it's going to be very, very effective. In terms of the theater experience, I think the analogy I would make is going to a movie theater in terms of what the quality and the scale of what is delivered in that theater is like going to a live sporting event versus seeing a live sporting event on a television at home. There is no comparison between them. If you could go to the Laker game and be there in an auditorium with 18, 20,000 fans, it is not analogous to the home
It's
experience.
a different experience.
The home experience is a great experience, but they really are not comparable.
Let's take a question from the audience. If you don't have one, I've got another one that I want to ask these guys.
Wow, Mark, look how we've inspired the audience.
We have two, actually.
I think they're sleeping.
That's all.
See just a fervor.
Since I have the schedule, I thought we were out of time. But anyway, Mark,
David
I want to ask you,
with Fortune Magazine, just in case you don't know.
Adam mentioned IBM. You know, it's interesting. IBM completely withdrew from consumer businesses.
Yes.
And you so clearly have not. And you know, not only do you still sell a lot of stuff directly to consumers, we're talking here today about very consumer-related stuff, and it's leading to a lot of enterprise sales for you. Do you think this is becoming a big differentiator in your enterprise business for you, that you have not withdrawn from the consumer business, especially vis-a-vis IBM?
David, I think the world of technology, whether it's the PC market's roughly $100 billion, the server market's roughly $60 billion, storage is roughly $50 billion, networking's roughly $50 billion. They sound a lot alike. They're very different when you get under the covers, but have some very strong common denominators. I believe they'll continue to line up behind, or they'll start to line up more and more behind industry standards. Scale becomes critical. So the ability to, in our case, we have a $62, $3, $4 billion supply chain. Trying to leverage standard parts between the consumer product that you described, David, all the way to the biggest, most expansive blade that you'll see in the market. And that leverage across the supply chain, think of us as having one ecosystem with differentiated software in each stack of the infrastructure, with software that even surrounds that at another level of abstraction. And then the services business, David, is so important to us because we then want to render that infrastructure capability to the consumer or to the enterprise any way the customer wants it, through the cloud, in a form of OpEx, in a form of CapEx. But that scale you talk about, from the PC, 85% of what's in a server today is in a consumer PC in terms of the standardization of the componentry. Only 30 to 35% of what's in a storage array today is using that same componentry. We think we can take that up over 90. When you look at a networking device, again, lower than storage, and we believe, again, we can standardize that infrastructure using that very same power supply, cable, hard drive that you're leveraging in the consumer PC you have at home. So that scale and leverage is a big deal.
I can see you've thought about this.
Yeah, take one more. It's got to be a quick question and a quick answer, please.
You're passionate about this. Wow.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, I was
Just one. Go ahead.
Mark, I'm wondering if you
Sorry,
could...
tell us who you are, please.
Orlando Portali, Palomar Health. Question for Mark. Wondering if you could assess the tie-up between Oracle and Sun on the industry and the potential impact for HP.
Did that happen yet? Because I think it's just sort of... No, I think, listen, I think, I believe, without commenting on any pending acquisition, because that acquisition is not concluded, you know, for us, I don't believe you can be in any part of this industry, particularly the infrastructure part of the industry, without being in everything. I think it's just as I mentioned in David's answer. This thing has to get all about scale and has to be all about leverage. And I would also tell you, Oracle is a tremendous partner of HP's, and we really value them and expect that to continue.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks.
Whoop.